Hello, my beautiful people. It's Lena. I'm back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's do this. And just like that, Aiden is back. We're here. Season 2, episode 7, which of course is almost the end of the series itself, which I said before, they're going to drag this out to the very end. But let's get excited a little bit. So I'm going to review this in somewhat of the same fashion that I've been reviewing before, which I'll focus on the story arcs for the 3 ding-dongs. But I'm going to start with some honorable mentions first, only because I want to leave Carrie for last. Honorable mention, which really deserves to be part of the group, but he's not a ding-dong. We're going to talk about Anthony. Now, for all intents and purposes, Anthony, the character itself and the actor, is very funny. He's always been funny since he was in the original series. I'm still very upset that they have decided not to acknowledge the fact that his life partner, which is, Stanford Blatch and Willie Garson, the actor, has passed away. For whatever reason why they're doing this, they're doing this. But, I forgot how good, Anthony, the character itself. I really think that instead of adding, Samantha 2.0, they could have just removed that character and replaced, or not even replaced, put into place Anthony, because I think he is closest to the equivalent of Samantha as we're going to get. And it works well for him. He does really well. I do enjoy him. So let's start with the story arc. So we are going to start with the scene, which is opening. And the opening scene is Carrie on her bed. She opens up her laptop and she sees that she receives a response from Aiden from her email from the last episode. And it just says 2 words. What's up? ? She quickly slams down the laptop and she starts to freak out because she realizes that Aiden is not only with this correct email, but that he has responded. So let's move on to Anthony. We're going to leave Carrie for the last. Oh, dear Anthony. So he has this store called, I think it's Hot Boy Bread. And he actually made me smile, considering that the rest of the team is stupid. He has gotten an invitation from Drew Barrymore and her TV show, which is actually legitimate, to get to present himself and his, entrepreneur store on her show. All his guys that are actually delivering this bread are, of course, wearing completely inappropriate attire, especially in the dead of winter. And when I said dead of winter, this is supposed to be February 14th or in the month of February. And in New York, it still can't be considered dead of winter. It actually is really pretty bad at that time. And the guys are complaining that they don't want to wear their short shorts, their one-piece short shorts during the cold of winter. And he, of course, Anthony says, I don't care. Figure it out. This is your job. So in the midst of all of this, he gets the phone call from, I guess, the producers of the Drew Barrymore show, and he's speaking, and he realizes that he's going to be appearing on the show, and he tells the team that he's going to be on the show, which one can be with him. As they're getting the bread together, of course, one of the delivery men is shooting up in his leg. I didn't know what he was shooting up. And Anthony's question was, I hope that's some sort of, insulin. And the guy says, no, it's like a steroid. And thank God Anthony has some morals, believe it or not. He outrightly says, okay, you can't be on the team. I don't want anybody who is using any kind of this drug or any drugs to please leave. And evidently all of them are on this drug and they all walk out. And this is when he realizes that he has no one now delivering his bread and anyone that can actually be on the show with him that he just got invited to. So Charlotte, ding dong number 1, and I'm skipping in because I want to tie into the Anthony story, is at a card store because, again, it's February 14th, or it's approaching to February 14th. So she's in a card store with the professor, and she sees this guy who is has a table at the card store and he's writing love poems for $1. I have never seen anything like this. Maybe this is something new. So she realizes that he's hot enough to be on Anthony's team. And she calls Anthony and she tells Anthony, I got this guy who's at a poem table giving out poems for $1. And she sends him a picture just to verify that this guy is hot. And Anthony, of course, goes crazy and he says, go get him. So she approaches this poem writer, and she says to him, I can give you $300 if you do something special. Of course, the poor kid is thinking that she's soliciting him, and she just tells him, I'm not. And she doesn't explain. We just cut to the next scene. Now, the guy's name is Giuseppe. He's from Italy. He has an Italian accent. He goes to the studio of the Drew Barrymore show with Anthony, who didn't see him at that time in the one-piece shorts. And he comes out of the dressing room, and I can only equate this to he had a loaf of bread stuffed in his pants. Now, I am just saying this to give you the visual. Wasn't a loaf of bread. He was really well endowed. Too well endowed to be wearing that. And I think he pretty much knew that. And he could have toned it down. But why? Then there would be no show. Anthony is with Drew Barrymore in her show, and the hot guy comes out, Giuseppe, and everyone is having a heart attack because the first thing they notice is that he has a really large loaf of bread in all the other places than the basket. Any other character on the show couldn't have pulled this off. I think this is really an Anthony-centric part that he can do. Drew Barrymore's all flustered, and she's making these puns and making remarks, and everybody's just looking at the very well-endowed Giuseppe. Cut to the scene where he's off the show. He's in the hallway of the show, and I just thought the whole scene was just hysterical. The way Anthony handled it. This is very, very much in line of his character, and he asks Giuseppe to please stay on for another week because now his Instagram is blowing up because evidently everybody who was watching the show, wants Anthony's bread boy, for lack of a better word. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, baby. He's willing to pay him whatever he wants. I'm very cautious when anyone says that, or anyone should say that to anyone else, but Giuseppe decides that he is going to help Anthony for the next week. How this plays out in the series, I don't know. I hope Anthony finds someone. I hope that they start to, give some acknowledgement to Willie Garson and Stanford, the actual character, so Anthony can move on at this point. Because I think that he is very funny, and I think he brings something to this debacle of a series that's unique, and he can actually keep it up and be funny. So they left it at that. Anthony is going to be working with Bread Boy. Very large bread. Bread that I've never seen. Good for you. Let's go on to the other two. I don't even know what to call this. I don't even want to say two. I'm just going to put another honorable mention because I believe Lisa is her name, which is the rich lady that's married, and then you have the professor. They don't really have any story arcs, and I say this with all due respect to the actors. I just don't think the writers, I just don't like the writers. So I'm just going to do a quick recap on Lisa. Lisa is pissed off because her son is with a girl that has no sexual boundaries, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Why? Because after watching the I think it's episode 3 where she is part of that group that is molesting a child in high school, a boy, I really don't care about this storyline, nor do I care about whatever they're trying to sell us in this episode with her. If you want to write something like that and then you try to turn it around where now she has some sort of moral boundaries because this is her son, I'm not buying it. You can go watch it yourself. I just don't care. You have Che, who is concerned because Miranda is not answering her calls. And she feels like she's being ghosted. So she asks Carrie. And all of a sudden we flip into now Che is a dog rescuer. And she used to work at, I don't know if this is a veterinarian's office. I'm presuming that it is. She finds a stray dog. She picks up the dog. She goes into the vet. She used to work there. The woman offers her a job, her old job back. And now Che is going to be working at a veterinarian's office. Again, I don't know what they're trying to do as far as writing. I love pets. I think anyone that can rescue pets or takes care of pets or anything like that is a beautiful soul. I'm just not buying the storyline. I don't care what animal she's rescuing. I just don't like the way they write the character at all. So you can try to rescue that character as much as you want. Not buying it. Okay. Let's go to Samantha 2.0, which at this point, I'm just going to preface this by saying I would not be too surprised if they literally bring in Samantha. Why Kim Cattrall would actually come back to the show, it would have to be, I don't know what. But I believe that at some point they're going to move her out and bring Samantha in. And right now she's just a placeholder for the real Samantha. Whole story arc, if she even had 10 minutes in this show, I don't even know. All I know is that she wanted to take Carrie to a spa to get massages. That day was a Valentine Day special for couples only massages. And she flips out on the woman behind the cashier desk asking, why do couples get special attention? This is not a real holiday. Banks are open, post office are open, people are walking around. And she just goes into this tangent about she feels slighted because she shouldn't be a couple in order to get this massage. I literally checked out. When I saw the scene, I was like, what are you doing? What's going on? What's happening? Her last line is, you're going to hear from me on Yelp. Okay. Sure. I don't know. I don't even read reviews on Yelp. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't. I can care less. Unless there's a staggering amount of reviews and it pops up and I'm like, okay, this is a red flag. I don't buy any of that nonsense. We don't see her again. Nothing. I don't even think she really had 10 minutes. Like, this woman they've been slowly phasing her out. I don't know if they're really banking on Samantha's cameo, which, by the way, is not in this episode again. And they're possibly thinking that Kim Cattrall can come back for what they believe is going to be season 3. I don't know. But this woman, I feel sorry for this actress. I know she's getting her coins and her money, but there's no pushing forward of her story. There's no purpose to her at this point. I don't believe her as Carrie's best friend. I don't believe her as anybody's best friend. I don't even believe her character at all. It's like boring. So, sayonara. Okay, so there goes the honorable mentions plus Anthony. Let's go to Ding Dong number 1. Charlotte's high. Charlotte gets high without even knowing it. Charlotte is a waste of character in this entire series. Her whole persona, everything that she's doing, I don't care. As a matter of fact, as I started to really pay attention, those 3 minutes that I was paying attention, I had to do this review. So I literally had to pay attention, and it was killing me. I think there's another part to this. I'm actually going back to the original Sex and the series. I started watching it. I just got through season 1. I'm into season 2 right now. It's bringing back memories because of what happens with Carrie and Aiden at the end. And I just wanted to see if I can get back those warm and fuzzy feelings by watching the original series. And there's one thing that I did notice is that part of the success of that show, the original series, is that they didn't focus on so many characters. In this one, I feel that they just have filler people in there and they waste time giving us bits and pieces of stories that doesn't mean anything. Example, the professor. You know what her whole story arc was this time? She was going to stay home on Valentine's Day and she was going to make herself a chocolate souffle. And she enjoyed it. That's it. I cook all the time. You don't see me posting about that. You don't see anybody asking me, what do I eat in a day? Should I be making that? I don't know. It was stupid. And it was like 3 minutes wasted that could have been focused on, the whole Aiden, or even anything remotely better than this crap. That I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you putting this woman through this 3-minute sequence? You've got Samantha 2.0, and I think was actually longer than the souffle chick, the professor. Then you have Lisa and her issue with her son, having sex in their house. I'm like, dude, we don't need this. Like, make it what it is. We don't need these characters at all. Though I unfortunately do believe that if they didn't have filler characters, the 3 ding-dongs that are there cannot make the show. Maybe if they focus a little bit more on Anthony and try to really integrate him and make it funnier, it could be something. But at the end of the day, they're still writing these ladies as cheaply as possible. So I went back to the original. I'm watching season 2, and I will be giving you my season 1 and season 2, the entire seasons, my recap, my feelings, because I think it's there's sometimes I still enjoy it, though I'm enjoying it less because I'm watching this stupid show and I know what is happening now versus what was happening then. So some magic is gone. I'm gonna be honest with you. But, I'm getting through it. I'm getting through it because Samantha, Kim Cattrall's in it. So, honorable mentions out, Charlotte Ding Dong. She's running around town taking care of her ingrate daughters, whether it's Rock, who now doesn't want to be a model because her mother went crazy at one of the modeling agencies because she had to wait 40 minutes because Rock is on some sort of electronic billboard, she should be somebody and not be waiting, which is bullcrap. If anybody knows anything about any of these industries, it doesn't matter if you have 1 million followers, you're going to wait. So now Rock doesn't want to be a model, so there goes that career option for Charlotte. And her other ingrate daughter, which... oh, Lily. Her boyfriend, Blake Carrington, if you recall from my last video, which we have yet to see, broke up with her. So now she's having the Hell with Boys party, and she's invited all her girlfriends over to the house and wants to throw her mother out of the house so she can continue with her party. So Charlotte brought her a cake for her party. Her daughter, of course, doesn't care. They're writing these girls, oh my God, they're just so typical. They need to get rid of this whole storyline. I'm sorry. One of Lily's friends made cupcakes, and if you've been under, for intensive purposes, a rock, 99.9% of the time, it's probably going to be a laced cupcake. I saw where this was going already. She eats the cupcake. Her and Harry go out to a restaurant on Valentine's Day. She's literally wailing on her husband, who, by the way, it goes back to what I said in the last episode. They have these moments where they're speaking, but each character is speaking a completely different conversation. She's upset and he's upset because he can't get seated, and they're just talking. It's like bubbles, like word bubbles. Like no one's speaking to each other. All of a sudden she feels sick. She feels her blood. She feels her face is tingling. Harry gets concerned. He starts yelling at the desk person to please call an ambulance. You see her getting thrown into the ambulance, and Harry, with the most fake acting I've ever seen, starts saying, please don't leave me, please don't die, you're my love of my life, oh my God. And I'm like, wow, you really had to pull that one out of your ass, didn't you? And they close the doors, and her last words, because if I die, please make sure that Carrie picks out my outfit. If you don't think you're high at that point, then I don't know what to tell you. This whole time they thought that she was having a stroke. All of a sudden she's in the hospital. The doctor comes out and says, you're high. Her husband says she doesn't even take something PM. So she doesn't take any medication, which, believe it or not, she's the one who should be taking all of the medication. She annoys the crap out of me. And then suddenly she tells Harry, my life flashed before my eyes while I was high. Okay. And she says she wants to get back to where she was before. She's tired of being everybody's pushpin doll. And she wants to try to find if she can get that job that was offered to her in one of the other episodes to work at a gallery. Okay. So we're going full circle? Sure. Go. Work at the gallery. Have at it. Bye-bye. Miranda. Miranda's trying to figure out if she's gay. She's not sure. I'm trying to figure out who is this person that's in front of the TV screen. I'm not sure. She ignores the calls from Che. Good for you. I would have been rooting for her last season if she would have pulled this. She's scrolling the internets to see if there's any type of dating app, so she can start dating again. Get right back on the horse. Atta girl. She winds up going to a bookstore. She listens to a woman that she's heard in her iPod, I guess, or whatever the hell she's used it before, her voice while listening to Jane Austen, which, by the way, is one of my favorite authors as well. So this was a joy to know. She approaches the woman outside. She tells her that she's listened to her read her audiobooks on Jane Austen, and there's some sort of attraction between them. She's like the Mrs. Darcy to Miranda, I guess, if you want to coin the phrase like that. Mrs. Darcy invites her to go out on Valentine's Day, and Miranda gets all dressed up to be invited to not go out to a restaurant, but to Mrs. Darcy's house or apartment. She gets to Mrs. Darcy's apartment, which is a one-room shack, for lack of a better word. And it's probably a very attractive room, is that she's keeping it as if she's a hobo. With a tent in tow. They clearly made this character a pig. She has a cat with a cat litter that has poop, and she's stepping all over it. She has her bed in disarray. I don't know what she thought Miranda was gonna do. I don't know if she invited someone over. I mean, when I invite my friends over, I go deep dive cleaning. I'm cleaning stuff that I haven't cleaned in years. Like, I'm like cleaning curtains. Like, I'm going crazy. Like, I don't understand what's happening. Like, who does this now? She tells Miranda that she has to go get her sheets in the laundry and asked her for some quarters because she didn't have any. Miranda says she doesn't have any, and she goes out to the bodega to go get some quarters for her sheets for the bed that has 18 piles of sheets on top of it and not even made in the house with a tent. I think that I am forever going to use this for Miranda in the entire series. Hit it. Why? Why could you be a 56-year-old woman and you're still stupid? That's what I don't understand. Michael Patrick King. Stop writing these people as if they're idiots. I am 53 years old. Even I know that's a red flag to get the hell out. No, She sits on the disgusting bed and she calls Carrie and she tells her what's happening. And Carrie says, do you need to stay? And a light went off. Ding, ding, ding. I don't have to. And she leaves. You know where this is going, right? She's going to miss Che because Che was so good to her and she's not a pig. And she's going to end up going back to Che. Stay tuned. 3 more episodes of this to go. Aiden's back. Probably other than Anthony, this is probably the only thing that made me smile, but for not the reasons that you think. Okay, let's go to Carrie. Carrie reaches out to him. He reaches back. He invites her to go out to dinner on Valentine's Day. Carrie, and not Samantha. Again, Freudian slip. Charlotte and Miranda are out to lunch. Charlotte, of course, over exaggerates everything and reads into everything like a freaking fake tarot card reading person. Oh, he asked you on Valentine's Day, yada, yada, yada. I just didn't care. She goes to the restaurant where he asked her to meet him. There's a confusion on the restaurant. She walks into a restaurant and says, party of two. The maitre d' seats her. I'm going to save this for my part that I'm going to say it in. She gets seated in the back. Aiden's not there. She's sitting down waiting for him to show up. This extremely annoying waiter who's chewing gum as he's serving her water. Can I just say the gum chewing waiter was just so disrespectful? Like I don't even know who allows this in any restaurant. I mean, he was like chewing like he was chewing on tobacco. This whole scene is set up to be stupid. Her phone dies. She needs a charger. Gum chewer gives her a charge. She's waiting to hear back from Aiden, which then I figure out that she doesn't even have his phone number. How could you? You have his email, but you don't get his phone number, you big dingleberry. He texts her, where are you? And then she proceeds to text him back. Pick up the phone and call him. She figures out that this is not the restaurant. It's literally the one that's next door by going up to the maitre d', who, by the way, seated her. If you're the maitre d' and someone says you have a reservation, shouldn't you check? That whole thing didn't make sense to me. Because every restaurant in the world for that day, apparently on the show on February 14th, if anybody knows this, is jam-packed. You go into a restaurant and there's no one back there. And they seat you. He didn't even check to see the reservations, if it was cleared or not. Okay. She walks out. She figures out it's the one that's legitimately next door. She gets out. She turns right there. And you know where this is going. Because he can't just be out there and she just can't just meet him in the restaurant. She's looking around. She turns around and there's Aiden. Oh, Aiden. It broke me. It broke me. It really did. The minute that I saw him, I just went right back to the original series. And this is what propelled me to go back and watch it again. He sees her and he pulls out his arms and says, and the writers, the way they wrote him and the way he portrays this role is so reminiscent of what it was before. And the way that he hugged her, you can just feel that. And I was like, wow, they did a good job. Yeah, but don't get your panties in a bunch. This is the only good job you did, okay? You know, there's one of the episodes in the original series where Charlotte tells Carrie that you only get 2 great loves in your life, and she tells her that Carrie had two, which is Big and Aiden. And that always stuck with me. And just to know that this is coming somehow full circle, that they had to kill off Big in order for this to be resolved on the Aiden side, was very, very striking to me. I was like, okay, if we were to take this in any real way, I'm just going to talk as if this is not written by idiots. After he hugged her, my first reaction was, run far, run fast, please, because this woman is no good. She dumped you. And this is even before I found out the last lines that he says in this episode. I was like, dude, she may have cared for you, but she was his love of his life, as Carrie was. Big was not the big love of her life, if that makes any sense. What she felt for Big was as strong as what Aiden felt for Carrie. And yes, she's happy because he's back, but it took killing off her love in order to come back to the second choice. What for him, Aiden, she was his first choice. So as much as it was nice to see Aiden, I just felt as if it was just completely unfair to him. But you go back and see your ex. I mean, you're in your 50s and 60s. I mean, you want to have something. You want something to tether you back to reality. And I understood that. They're at the restaurant, and he's still Aiden, making fun of his weight, and he did acknowledge John's death, Big. And that broke me too, because I know if this was in reality, that's hard. It's been, according to Carrie, 13 years since they last seen each other, which if you saw any of the movies, I believe is number 2. They kind of bumped into each other when they were in Abu Dhabi, and they kissed, and she ran away. And he just fell right back into that role. I'm completely enamored with Carrie role. And this is the part I didn't understand. They get into a cab. You don't see them getting into the cab. You see them getting out of the cab, and you know that she's going to her house. What I didn't understand is, how is it that he didn't know that the address that she would have given the driver is the same address where she's always lived? So because we didn't see that scene, you're in the back of the cab, she's giving the address, because when he comes out of the cab, he turns around, he says, oh my God, you still live here? And I was like, that's odd. Maybe he did forget, maybe he didn't want to remember. I don't know. I didn't understand that sequence. So she says yes, and he stops at the stoop, and he played this really well, because that also broke me too. He looks up and he says, I can't go back there. I felt great at the restaurant. I feel like, this is the start, but to come here where it ended was just too much for him. And it's funny, because when he said that, I was like, yeah, that's fine. Run, Aiden, run. And he mentions that, this is where we were going to build our life together. I was, taking down the walls. I was doing the floors. We broke up here. I never want to go back in there. And I was like, oh my God, Aiden, look at you. I said, don't go to Steve. Because if you go to Steve, he's going to suck you back into that vortex like he does with Miranda all the time. I love you, please stay. Yeah, crap. Well, that whole PTSD that he experienced at that moment lasted like a second, because he tries to walk away, and suddenly he turns back around and he says, the hell with it. This is New York. We can get a hotel. And then, boom, they embrace and kiss. And just like that, they're both back together on the same page. Okay? He's not going to run. He's going to stick this out. I don't know how they're going to do this. I mean, yes, this can happen in real life. I mean, look at Jennifer and Ben Affleck. You can go back to your past, and, for now it's working. because you just never know what anybody can just decide to break up. Again, I still find it interesting that in order for her to rectify the Aiden situation, they had to kill off Big. And as I'm watching the original series, it is very striking. I know Big was a large part of her life, but my God, it really is almost the entire sequence of that series, how much she loved him. And I'm going back to those memories. I haven't hit the Aiden episodes yet, but I already know how it turns out. And then just watching him look at her and react to her and the way he feels about her, it just brought it all back. And then when he mentions the floors and the walls and not being able to bring down those walls, and I remember the wedding, or, where he asked her to marry him and the breakup, it was just like, wow. And I honestly don't remember why I wanted her to be with Big. I was rooting for Big for no particular reason, only because I think that it was just because he was there from the beginning, and I knew how much she loved him. But when you really look at the season and how he treated her, he was a dick. And it's funny because it was that time, they were in my age group, and we all go through our issues with men and stuff like that. But oh my God, if I tried to get into this now, it is so centric on stupid crap. Charlotte from day one, from episode 1, wants to get married. Are you happy now? You got 2 bratty kids. Miranda, at one point in season 1, was confused for a lesbian. No foreshadowing there at all. Carrie was excessively annoying with Big because she was obsessed with him, and he was a dick. And I can't speak enough about Samantha. Samantha was hilarious throughout every single episode, and she made that show, So I'm going to finish watching season 2 because I believe it's season 3 where Aidan comes in. Because I know this season 2, spoiler, the big breakup happens again, where I believe he goes off to Paris or something like that. But as far as, and just like that, this is episode 7. We got 3 more to go. I hope it's more Aiden centric. Though I believe that he's going to stick to his guns and stick with her. Woohoo. I just don't like any of the character arcs. I don't like the way this is written. I don't know them personally, obviously. But if I'm even believing anything that was posted about Sarah Jessica and this all tumultuous problems that she's had with Kim Cattrall and the team and everything else, she is being put out there as she was the bitch. Again, I don't know her personally. I just don't get the feels from her. And she's allowing the way this is being written or rewritten in any way. I mean, I guess everything was coming to this point where she gets her happy ending with Aiden. Okay. I don't believe it's a happy ending because the way she dumped him was just cruel, and anyone that does that in any type of real life, hey, good for you if you want to go back to that. But I don't like any of the characters. None. Other than Anthony and now Aiden. So let's see what happens. Did you see the episode? How do you feel? Do you believe in any of my comments? Do you feel the same way? Please drop a comment below. Let me know if this entire 2 seasons is even worth your time. How do you feel about the original series? Are any of you going back to watch it after watching this episode? Because I am. And it's bringing back a lot of memories, because especially when the opening sequence is the Twin Towers, it just brings me back how long ago the show was. It's like, wow, the Twin Towers, like that's how far back this series goes. Comment, like, subscribe. And actually, this was not a beating up episode as much as I normally do. And that's only because I didn't want to focus on the other dingleberries and ding-dongs, because I was just very excited about Aiden. So share, and let's see where this goes together, people. Have a wonderful Saturday. Blessed day.